The roar of the Bills Mafia was a physical thing, a wall of sound that vibrated through the frozen turf and up into the very core of his being. On the sideline, amidst the chaotic symphony of clattering pads and shouted play calls, a sharp, hot pain screamed from his leg with every tentative step. But Travis Kelce's face was a mask of stoic determination, his jaw set, his eyes narrowed not in agony but in fierce concentration. He refused to let a limp betray him, to let a wince give the roaring crowd and the opposing defense the satisfaction of seeing a crack in his armor. He was a warrior in this gladiatorial arena, and even if something was torn or sprained, he would channel the fire of that injury into his game, transforming the pain into a fierce, burning focus. Every catch, every block, every yard gained would be a silent, defiant message to the sea of red and blue, "You cannot break me." As the final seconds of the first half bled away on Sunday night, Travis Kelce made his exit not with the collective retreat of his teammates, but in a solitary, purposeful march toward the tunnel, leaving a few precious seconds early. The decision was a silent admission of the punishment he had just absorbed, a brutal, driving hit from linebacker Cole Bishop that had slammed into his chest in the end zone, a collision that left the air crushed from his lungs and a deep, resonating ache with every heartbeat. While the rest of the Chiefs began their own walk to the locker room, Kelce's early departure was a calculated move, a race against the clock to start the process of assessment and recovery away from the prying eyes of the stadium, hoping to use every spare second of the halftime interval to convince his body and his coaches that he was still fit for war. For a heart-stopping moment, the 36-year-old veteran appeared to be in genuine trouble, the collective gasp of the crowd hanging in the frosty air as he remained on the turf a beat too long after the devastating hit. The sequence had unfolded with cruel precision. Patrick Mahomes, scrambling to create magic, had delivered a pass that was just slightly behind his most trusted target, a fractional misstep that allowed Bills linebacker Cole Bishop all the opportunity he needed. Launching himself with full force, Bishop drilled Kelce in the chest with his right shoulder, a punishing blow that was immediately compounded by Terrell Bernard shoving him forcefully on his way down for good measure. Now, as the trainers quickly encircled him, Kelce's slow, deliberate process of getting back onto his feet was a stark contrast to his usual explosive energy, his labored walk back to the sideline a silent, worrying testament to the punishment he had just endured. In the chaotic aftermath of the hit, the Chiefs' medical team rushed onto the field, a swarm of red jackets descending upon their star tight end to conduct a swift, urgent assessment on the hallowed turf. With the clock frozen at a mere 3 seconds and the half hanging in the balance, a poignant split-screen of determination unfolded, as a visibly shaken Kelce, acquiescing to the medics, began a slow and premature walk toward the locker room, deliberately removing himself from the battle. Kicker Harrison Butker raced onto the field in the opposite direction. The entire drive, and perhaps the team's momentum, now rested on the leg of one man, who had to block out the distraction of his teammate's injury and execute with cold, clinical precision under the intense pressure of the roaring crowd. Even in what appeared to be a moment of vulnerability, Travis Kelce's competitive fire refused to be extinguished. As he walked away from the scene of the collision, a slow, deliberate march toward the tunnel, he offered a defining gesture of theatrical defiance to the roaring Bills Mafia, cupping his hand to his ear as if to soak in their vitriol, his lips forming the words, "I love it, I love it." It was a performance of pure, unadulterated gamesmanship, a signal that the hostility of the environment was precisely the fuel he craved. Behind the scenes, however, the necessary protocols were followed with sober diligence. He was checked over by trainers and underwent a formal concussion evaluation in the locker room, a necessary precaution after such a jarring impact. But ultimately, he showed no further cause for concern, the brief scare giving way to the assurance that the warrior would be ready to return to the fray. Any doubt about his condition or his resolve was emphatically erased the moment the second half began, as Kelce, having been medically cleared, stormed back onto the field for the very first snap of the third quarter. In a moment of poetic redemption, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes immediately sought him out, doing what the brutal hit had prevented moments before the half by firing a sharp, 5-yard pass directly into his hands. The simple, effective catch was more than just a gain of possession, it was a statement of trust between quarterback and receiver, a declaration of Kelce's durability, and a clear message to the Buffalo defense that their best shot had not been enough to keep him down for long. Later in the game, with the offense stymied and the pressure mounting, Kelce would once again demonstrate the telepathic connection that defines his partnership with Mahomes, providing a critical lifeline. As his quarterback scrambled, desperately evading pressure just yards outside of his own end zone with no receiver breaking open, Kelce instinctively found the soft spot in the defense, hauling in a monumental 27-yard catch that flipped the field and momentarily ignited hope. This flash of brilliance, however, was a lone beacon in an otherwise foggy afternoon of frustration. Despite his resilience and iconic defiance, it was ultimately a day of defeat for the Chiefs, as they fell to a big rival, the sting of the loss cementing their challenging 5-4 record for the season and leaving the team to grapple with what might have been. The game, a brutal slugfest defined by missed opportunities, was ultimately decided in a frantic, final 17-second window that laid bare the Chiefs' frustrations. Taking over at their own 42-yard line after a stroke of fortune, Matt Prater's 52-yard field goal attempt for the Bills doinked cruelly off the right upright. Patrick Mahomes and the offense had one last chance to script a miracle. But from Buffalo's 40-yard line, the drive unraveled with devastating swiftness, 3 straight incompletions, a series of desperate heaves into a suffocating coverage. The final hope extinguished when Mahomes' last-ditch throw, a pass that fell woefully short of the end zone, was authoritatively batted down by rookie cornerback Maxwell Hairston, sealing a gut-wrenching defeat that left the Chiefs at a crossroads with a 5-4 record. Sunday's nail-biting contest marked another dramatic installment in the long-standing and increasingly bitter rivalry between the Bills and Chiefs, a feud that has ramped up exponentially in the corresponding eras of their superstar quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. This latest chapter, etched in the final, frantic seconds, added a new layer of psychological complexity to their history. For years, it has been Mahomes holding the upper hand in playoff heartbreakers, but this regular season battle saw the roles painfully reversed, with Allen and the Bills delivering the crushing blow. The loss does more than just adjust win-loss records, it fuels the narrative of a shifting balance of power and sets the stage for the next inevitable, high-stakes showdown between these two AFC titans, ensuring their compelling saga will only continue to intensify. This latest Bills victory, therefore, carries the weight of not just a single game, but of a deeply personal and lopsided history. The haunting shadow of the Chiefs and Mahomes beating the Bills in the playoffs 4 times out of the last 5 seasons lent a palpable, desperate urgency to every play for Buffalo. For Josh Allen, a quarterback of prodigious talent, the specter of his rival's resume, 3 Super Bowl victories out of 5 appearances, looms large, a constant reminder of the ultimate prize that has thus far eluded him. This regular season win, then, was more than just a tick in the column, it was a necessary exorcism of past demons and a statement that the path to the Super Bowl, so long commandeered by Mahomes, might finally be opening up for a new contender. Ultimately, Sunday's clash at a raucous Highmark Stadium served as a critical early marker for the postseason aspirations of both AFC giants, a potential preview of the playoff battles that have defined their recent histories. And in this latest chapter, it was the Bills and Josh Allen who would claim first blood, a hard-fought victory that provided a measurable psychological boost. Yet, in a display of seasoned perspective, Allen was quick to downplay the win, refusing to be drawn into the larger narrative. His caution is rooted in a telling statistical divide. For all their well-documented January struggles against the Chiefs, this victory extends the Bills' curious dominance in the regular season, marking their 5th straight such win over Kansas City, a paradox that ensures the true reckoning between these quarterbacks is still waiting in the wings of the playoffs. In the post-game glow, Josh Allen embodied the 1 week at a time mantra of the NFL, his commentary as measured and efficient as the game-winning drive. It was a team effort. A lot of hard work went into this, he stated, deliberately shifting the focus from individual glory to collective execution. He reduced the entire, emotionally charged contest to its simplest denominator: we made one more play than they did, and that is all that matters. When pressed on the larger implications of the win, the race for the Super Bowl, the battle for AFC supremacy, Allen offered a concise, focused mantra: 1-0. This refrain was more than a cliché, it was a deliberate shield against the weight of history and the looming shadow of his rival, a public commitment to the process over the prize, even as his team and its fans dared to believe that this regular season victory could be the precursor to a different postseason outcome. Amid the high-stakes drama on the field, the relentless camera scanning the stands found no sign of Kelce's fiancée, Taylor Swift, whose appearances have become their own cultural subplot to the Chiefs' season. While she hasn't tended to travel to road games in recent months, leaving her presence always in question, the lack of a confirmed sighting didn't immediately mean she wasn't there, perhaps watching from a private suite. Yet, her visible absence from the communal fury of the Bills Mafia created a subtle, unspoken contrast to the narrative, leaving the focus solely on the gritty, physical battle below, where Kelce's war was fought and ultimately lost without the familiar backdrop of her celebratory embrace. This season, the global superstar has made a conscious habit of maintaining a low profile during her appearances at Chiefs games, often choosing to cheer for Kelce from the discreet, shadowed recesses of VIP suites rather than the front-row spectacle. This strategy of cultivated privacy has become so consistent that her presence has sometimes only been confirmed in the aftermath, through a fleeting glimpse in a post-game celebration or a fan's distant photo. This intentional elusiveness creates a unique dynamic, where her support is felt as a powerful, quiet constant rather than a public performance, allowing the focus to remain on the gridiron while still weaving her narrative seamlessly into the fabric of his season. Her strategic absence this time stood in stark contrast to her memorable, and very public, appearance at Highmark Stadium just 10 months prior, in January 2024. On that frigid, high-stakes night, she was visibly in the stands, celebrating amidst a sea of hostile blue and red as Kelce authored a postseason masterpiece, scoring 2 touchdowns to vanquish the Bills on their home turf and propel the Chiefs deeper into the playoffs. That victory cemented a painful memory for Buffalo fans, making her unseen presence, or confirmed absence, on this day a subtle but undeniable subplot to the Bills' long-awaited, regular season redemption. That day, the familial spotlight was brilliantly stolen by Kelce's older brother, Jason, who, in a burst of uncontainable, brotherly exuberance, celebrated one of Travis's touchdowns by climbing out of the VIP suite shirtless into the biting Buffalo cold, and downing a beer to the roaring delight, and mock indignation, of the surrounding Bills Mafia. It was a moment of pure, unscripted joy that instantly went viral, encapsulating the raw, emotional investment of the Kelce family and creating an iconic counterpoint to the high-stakes tension on the field, a memory that made the star tight end's more solitary, pain-filled exit on this subsequent Sunday feel all the more pronounced. Battered but unbowed, there is little time for the Chiefs to dwell on this defeat, as the schedule offers no reprieve. When Kelce and the Chiefs return to action in Week 11, they will immediately face another critical test against the surging AFC West-leading Denver Broncos, who improved to a formidable 7-2 after grinding out an 18-15 victory over the Houston Texans on Sunday. This divisional clash now carries immense weight, presenting Kansas City with a pivotal opportunity to halt their slide and reclaim their footing against a division rival that has built a significant lead, turning what was once assumed to be a comfortable path to the division title into a tense and urgent battle.